Plaza. Where's the curtain?
They hiding?
Pay no attention to
Yeah,
that.
pay no attention.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Wednesday, November 4th, 2015. At this time, it's customary that you join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're having a quarterly meeting with the Board of Selectmen from the town of Rehoboth. As you all know, anyone who's been following this, about every three and a half months we get together. We hash over things or ideas that the towns might have in common, suggestions, go back and forth, and out of it, it's a little positive feedback with the relationships that we have kind of garnered with this Board of Selectmen. At this time, Mike, you're still chairman, right?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce Mike Costello, chairman of the Board of Selectmen of the town of Rehoboth, to introduce the members of his board that he's brought with him tonight. Mike?
Thank you, Dean. I have Jerry Swall, Selectman, and I have Vice Chair Skip Vadnais.
Evening.
With us tonight.
Good evening. What's new on the agenda in Rehoboth?
Well, first, the thing I wanted to bring up is, as you all know, we had a heck of a scare at the high school this past Monday, which was something that was done over the weekend that was seen on social media. It could have been real. It wasn't real, but it could have been real. The town of Dayton took charge up there as far as law enforcement. They asked Rehoboth to assist, which they did. But I think I'd like to ask the Board of Selectmen in Dayton that I think what we need is to have joint training between our two departments for a situation like this. Because I don't think it was, I think even though I didn't feel our children were in danger, because I think the police did have everything in hand, but I think it would be more organized if they were to train together to come up with some sort of structure to do, you know, if something of this magnitude happens. That was the thing that struck me, that this is one of the first times, and naturally everyone isn't, you know, there isn't a boilerplate to go by. So I think maybe if they did have a training, a joint training, that this might, you know, they might be able to take care of this in a better situation.
We've been striving for that for a long time, and I'm glad to hear you say it, Selectman Costello. We do need to make sure that it happens. We also have a couple of initiatives out there. We expect the school department, we trust that the school department, the school region is in touch with your police department concerning the real-time computer transmission that would allow the police on the scene to see where in the building a situation occurs. It's a few $100s a year to provide that security system. We had a presentation on it at the police station in Dayton. I know Mrs. Antonellis was there, and we emphasized that we wanted Rehoboth to be made aware of it and invited to participate in equipping your police department the way we intend to equip ours. I think some joint training has gone on under the umbrella of the ALICE program. I've been told that our Sergeant Dutra, he's on the disaster committee subcommittee that handles security in the public schools, has done some work with the Rehoboth Police Department for certain disaster responses. Whether that's the type of thing that went down Monday, I don't seem to hear that. It seems to be something different.
I do too.
Yeah.
And, but I think that it needs to be more it has to be more of a department with department type event. It can't be just with a couple of officers from each town. It has to be a full, both departments cooperating in a full-scale type of training on the school. And as you know, Dean, and Patrick, that since the incident that happened in Connecticut, I've been a big proponent for security at the high school. Because there was many times I walked in there with unassisted, with just opening the door, or letting a student open the door, or you know, and there's one camera, and one camera is monitored by a busy clerk in another office. And there were doors that were unsecured around the high school that we found out during that time. And every year we get, it's going to cost us this much, or it's going to cost us that much. We haven't got the money. You know, I don't know how we put a price on our children's safety. You know, we had a resource officer in Rehoboth, but the funds ran out. We could not support that anymore. They did allow funds for the one in the high school, I believe, this year, but I don't think it's going to be funded next year. You know, and we haven't got a resource officer in your school, you know, in your elementary. So those are things we have to look at. This is the time, this is the day and age we're living in. We just can't turn our backs on it, because this happens every day. We hear about it every day, and there's something that we can't say, well, it wouldn't happen in our town. Well, it happened in Rehoboth at our elementary, at our middle school, the same social media, and then it happened at the high school. So we have to take these things very seriously, I believe, and I think I've been you know, raising this issue with the school department, with the school committee many times to no avail. So I think the initiative has to be taken by our two towns with our selectmen to make sure, because we are responsible for the public safety of our residents, but especially for their children. So I think that we need to do something about that. So I think this is the first step, is a joint police type of training that will be able to take care of an event of this nature. So.
Just the feedback that I had gotten about Monday's episode, and we had quite a cast of characters. I mean, we had state police involved.
Yes.
We had Dayton police. We had SWAT team from Taunton.
Yes.
We had Rehoboth police. So somehow, some way, and I agree 100%, it's got to be coordination.
Exactly.
I mean, we have 4 entities, 4 bodies that are going to come in, and they know what they want to do.
Exactly.
But what should be done, and it's going to be a task to coordinate when you get those groups together, you know, because some of them are going to want to take over, you know.
Well, God forbid if we had a real situation where we had injuries or God forbid fatalities. It would not only be the state police, Rehoboth, Dayton, and Taunton. It would be the federal government, the FBI would be here, the ATF would be here. I mean, we'd be swarmed by everybody. So we have to know what to do in this situation, because we just want to make sure that we protect our kids, you know.
My understanding is that what was needed on Monday. They were alerted on Friday to what
Right.
they would be responding to on Monday. And during that time, a determination was made to have a show of force. In that sense, the show of force was less a response to an actual situation, less a response to a sudden emergency than it was a planned demonstration of our capability. I will say, I believe, at least Dayton personnel are trained in, they've undergone National Incident Management System training. And in the event of a response to an actual sudden event, they have standard training for identifying the incident response commander and establishing the necessary sub-elements, a place for isolating the public, a place for dealing with the press, a place for incoming supplies, a staging area for support personnel and so forth. They're trained in that, in an actual event. I think part of what staved off the use of that training was that this was simply going to be a demonstration rather than a real response.
Yep.
We did, however, this morning, express to the police chief the need to have identify the student or the students who actually committed the offense.
Yes.
And that has not yet been done.
No.
So whoever actually perpetrated the scare
Yes.
has all the more to laugh at because we deployed a huge demonstration of force, but nobody even went to the principal's office.
Right.
I mean, I had teachers who had nothing but a 12-inch ruler who were more effective in identifying the perpetrator than the three police forces. You know, I mean, we can't have our young people laughing at law enforcement that way.
Yeah.
We have to have a single officer in there as a bloodhound to do the careful work of identifying the perpetrator and singling that person out, and then let the school administrators administer the necessary discipline.
The main reason why I brought this up tonight was because of the situation Monday where we, like you said, Patrick, we did not identify the student or students who were involved in this. That when the buses arrived and the students got off the bus, they did not search the students before they entered the building. That really put me back, that you have an event like this where you have someone who states that they're going to come in and shoot up the school, and you don't search the students before they enter with their backpacks and everything else to make sure that not one of them are the actual person involved. So that took me back. So that's why I needed to vent, so let's say tonight, to my fellow selectmen from Dayton.
Is there a protocol, for example,
Right.
my understanding is if there's a big fire in Dayton and you have to call for mutual assistance, you call one number and they dispatch,
No,
they
yeah.
call, all right, and then somebody coming into the town is under the control of the local fire chief.
That's correct.
All right. In the case of a police emergency, and whether we respond to your call for mutual aid or vice versa, you're responding to the chief in the community that you're in.
You're right.
But protocol-wise, what happens when you bring in not mutual aid, but if you want to call them the big guns, at what point does federal or state or other law enforcement, if they do, supersede the local chief? Is there such a thing?
Well, I don't legally know. I don't know, Skip. if
I have
you-
an inkling. If there is a federal law that's been broken, then the appropriate federal agency will take charge of the investigation or the
Kidnapping or
situation.
something.
Yes,
Okay, all right, I
or
understand.
anything that that is a federal crime, then they would take jurisdiction over it. If they're assisting us, then that's different. And you're quite right, I like your choice of words, protocol. We need to determine, and maybe there are already protocols in place, when mutual aid is generally, there's a protocol, and generally speaking, it's whoever is in charge in that community is now directing the whole thing. And that's the way it should be. There's no way around that. But I don't know what the protocols are in the situation that we just faced. And there's nothing that went wrong on Monday. What we're saying is that it makes us take a look at this whole thing and say, okay, this was more real than it was, or more hazardous than what it was. Does everybody know what they're supposed to do? And I know you,
Part of the joint training of the two local
yes.
departments.
Do our guys know what you guys want us to
They both
do?
need to know what the protocol is if, in fact, state police come on the scene. Or that
State police
if
are
this-
interesting, and state police have jurisdiction wherever state police choose to have jurisdiction. They
and-
trump.
And in instances like this, they would be called in, or other kinds of instances. We had a big fire a couple of years ago, a woods fire, and of course, the state fire marshal responded, the National Guard helicopter came, and, you know, all of that was coordinated, and obviously, it was out in the woods, and it wasn't, you weren't dealing with 800 to 1,000 children in one building, and personal harm could come, because the fire was kind of boondocks. But I was just thinking of that when you were talking about that certainly the protocol for agencies other than communities that come in and provide mutual aid, the Dayton and Rehoboth contingent has to know that. And if we happen to get any from Swansea or Somerset or wherever mutual aid may
Yeah.
come, a police force, they may understand if it's in Rehoboth, it's the Rehoboth chief, Dayton chief. But when the other agencies come in, I don't,
Nancy.
everyone needs to know that, I
Of
don't
course, and they
know.
need to know how many, they also need to know how many bodies would be able to come.
Right?
What equipment are you gonna bring? And they need a staging area. Where's our staging area? Who's the incident command? And then deployment, where would you be, deployment of the units, of the people.
And what the role of the local chief, who is in charge up to the point of what point? And when that point is reached,
Yeah.
that local chief becomes the contact person for
Yeah.
the higher up in command, I guess I'll
Yeah, we see
describe
it
it
in
as that
movies
way.
all the time where the FBI will walk in and say, hey, we're taking.
Or
over.
ATF,
Or
or
ATF. If
whoever.
a gun is shot, it's ATF. Like Skip said, if the federal laws are broken, then I believe.
May I suggest that the way we proceed is that, 'cause we seem to be in total agreement, is that we speak with our individual chiefs and let them know that we have a concern, that to be sure that when we respond, that we know exactly what we're supposed to do. We'll speak with our chief and see if he has any concerns. And then we put the chiefs together and let them talk about their concerns. Then we bring in the schools and say, let's let them get their stuff straight first, and then bring in the schools and say, this is what we think we need to
This is the
do.
protocol.
Exactly. I like that word.
We need to do that, absolutely, absolutely. Like I say, the NIMS that we are trained on, we need to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music and so forth. But we have been emphasizing the chiefs working with each other for months now. And I think what we also need to require now is report back to us.
Yeah.
I agree.
You tell us what you've accomplished in terms of making a team out of these two different departments. And let's see a drill, or a mock-up, if you will, a drill, and let's see a report, an after-action review, what needs to be improved.
Patrick, are you thinking that perhaps that what we do is ask them to another joint meeting and let them, both sides in the same room, make a joint presentation, because this is a joint concern. Why
Absolutely.
have them report separately to you and our guys separately to us? Because
Thank
then you'll know what our guy's thinking, and we'll know what your guy's
And
thinking.
we all need to know what the protocol is, because
Yes.
we turn up at a scene, and we're looking around and says, who's in charge? I don't know who's in charge.
Yeah.
Well, the FBI's here.
That's right.
Well, we got two federal agencies, who's in charge? I mean, as the leaders of the
We-
town,
and
we're
we
looking
have
at one
to,
another
we have to
saying,
have the answers,
who's in
because
charge?
you know, we're
What's
all
the
gonna,
plan? What are they gonna do?
we're all gonna get 100 phone calls if something like that did happen.
That's right.
And we need to know the answers just as well as anybody else, because we have to
I think
answer
the
those.
joint thing is the meeting, as you
Yep.
suggested.
Yep.
is a
Okay,
good
so-
idea.
We need to take
We'll
a
talk to
step,
our guy, you talk to your guy, and have them talk to each other, and let them know that we want a joint presentation of the protocol, we want them to come in and identify and explain to us. If it is a security situation, I have no problem with a joint executive session, which probably, some of it probably should be, if we're going to get into any detail. I mean, a generalized discussion is fine, but I don't know how you feel about security personnel, but deployment of the same, what do you think?
I think it absolutely, if we are going to get into detail, yes, it has to be an executive
Well,
session.
you want detail, don't you, Nancy?
And in the open session, then we.
Well, that would be
with
the feel good, let the people
Right,
know
with the
what it is that we've
presentation,
done, so they can
the
feel
people
good that
will
we're
also
protecting
know
them.
If, I'll call them outside agencies, which is not including mutual aid. Outside agencies are brought in, people will know why they're there
Yeah.
and who's in charge,
That's right.
so that they will have a level of comfort and not show up and say, what's that FBI truck doing here? What's that ATF truck, or who is that, you know? So they will know
And
automatically.
part of the protocol would be who calls them. That would be something in your case, that your chief would be doing. If it's a school in our town, it'd be something that our chief would be doing, and your people would be assisting us once we make that call. So, some of this, I think we should probably meet in executive session for the initial report, and then come back out and give a report to the people of, jointly, if you would, what we're doing.
And I think unlike a fire situation, where if you need help, you call one number.
Yes.
And troops sent out, and you know who's in control depending on where the fire is. This situation doesn't work that way. There's nobody
That's right.
central that says, oh, we'll send you this agency or whatever. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I
Can
do
we,
think, though, we need to take it beyond the two police chiefs. They're going to, if, depending upon what the situation is, and there could be, they could identify different levels of response, but at some point, heaven forbid, we need to have fire, and we also need to have ambulances. They need to be brought into this protocol. You talk about staging areas. So everybody knows what to do in the, hopefully, the unlikely event of some sort.
But obviously, if you have a shooting episode, you've got to have a place for, if an ambulance is not what you need,
Triage.
you've got to have a place for a helicopter to come in.
So
and
whatever
to
it takes, but
evacuate.
I think
Exactly.
the two police chiefs can take the lead on it, but I don't think they do it in a
I think the
vacuum.
two police chiefs, if I may intercede, are the ones that would be, when the crime has been committed, they unequivocally, in my mind, have jurisdiction. They will protect the scene, they have certain things that they need to do. And when there's something that's a serious situation. And sometimes, unless they know what they're doing, and that's, I agree, they have to be part of the protocol, but I don't know that they would be establishing, they would be put in place by the individuals in charge, because a crime's been committed. It's a little different than a house fire or an accident.
I don't disagree, but I
It would
think
be
what
support level.
needs to occur is that if the fire department needs to respond, the fire department then knows through the training where they go to
I agree.
wait to be, and where the ambulances go, because what you don't need is a fire truck driving up into the front of the building when the police are trying to secure a situation.
I agree with that.
That's why I say they
I'm
should,
sure
they need
that
to be
that-
involved.
They're the support tier, let's call them the support tier. You
Yes.
know, that would be, we know who's in charge locally, we need to know who's in charge if outside agencies come in. But certainly the support tier, medical support, whether it's ambulance or helicopter. And I know in Dayton, it's probably Rehoboth too, there are designated areas for helicopter evacuations.
Yeah,
So
we have
that's-
them.
So certainly they know that, and know which, depending upon where an incident might happen, where the nearest, if they need a helicopter, where the nearest pickup point is. But I think all of this is.
Yeah, I think we
good.
need to do something like this, put it all together and.
Our drill, our interagency drill, was in the fall before school opened. And working together without outside agencies, our police and fire and ambulance have a clear picture of how they work with each other. As far as bringing Rehoboth in, now I think there were Rehoboth representatives at that drill, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably were.
I think there were, but, of course, the entire force was not. But we see now what needs to be, where the holes need to be plugged. We need to go back and do it again. And we should involve representatives of all of the potential playing agencies. Even if they don't send a force, we need to have representatives, and I'm sure that we can obtain them if we ask. It needs, however, it's serious enough a need so that we need to give it a timeline. We need to give it, I don't think we should wait until the next quarterly meeting
No,
of the
I
board.
agree.
They need to work on it before then.
Yes, they do.
I think we need to have them respond back to us ASAP concerning, number one, how they're gonna do it.
I think, at the earliest convenience, we're going to inform our chief and our agencies to get going on this. Try to get out two agencies, give them enough time to put something together, and then get back to us, so we'll have our joint meeting together. Hopefully it's before the 3 months. I don't think they need that much time to put something together for this. Though I know the holidays are coming up, and that probably hurts a little bit, but
Have them get back to us at the beginning of December. That's
Yeah.
plenty of time for the two chiefs to meet.
Yeah.
Meet with other chiefs, fire, rescue, whatever it is they have to meet with, and to put together at least something for us to
An
talk
initial
about.
draft.
yes.
Because
Yes.
it's probably gonna need fine tuning, and we'll have
Oh,
questions.
of course.
And the other thing we've gotta remember is, especially in Dayton, we've gotta be concerned about Bristol County Aggie. You have students there, but
Yeah.
obviously it's located in Dayton. But any school plans have got to include the Aggie school.
Oh, absolutely.
The Aggie school, the
I know
readiness.
they're part of your team, I'll call it.
I'll say the readiness at the Aggie, not boastful, and not complacent, anything can happen. But the readiness at the Aggie school, thank God, thanks to the diligence and foresight of the staff, with the assistance of the police and fire departments, the readiness at the Aggie school is stellar. And we owe it to a very far-seeing administration over there. They've done wonders. Not that Dayton Rehoboth is not, but we do need to bring in now the element of cooperation between the two towns.
Yep. All right, so that's what we'll do.
So when we get a reading in early December of what we're looking at for a time for the exercise and a time for the train up, if you will, then we will communicate by email or what have you to set up a time for our joint meeting to
Yes,
hear the
correct.
results.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we're looking at early December to set up
Say so.
another
It would
joint
have to
meeting.
be, first week or so.
Fine.
But you guys pick a date.
Right around Christmas, and we don't need to exchange gifts either. So,
Again?
again,
We're gonna have refreshments.
yes, that's, yeah. If you have it in our town, I'll make sure that we have refreshments for you.
Okay.
Not the popcorn machine, please.
Why? That's good.
I knew you had that on your mind.
We'll have grog. Okay, so we're looking at early December, so, would you want to do it on your meeting night, or,
Yeah, that would preferably be the best, it's any
Okay.
Monday.
7, 14, 21, and 28.
Let's shoot for the 7th.
Pearl
7?
Harbor Day.
7th, at least, we'll have that start. It is.
Pearl Harbor Day.
Yeah.
Isn't it not?
It
Mr.
is, that's what I
Historian?
said, Pearl Harbor Day.
Isn't that Pearl Harbor Day?
It is, certainly is. Yep, certainly is.
I look to you for verification of that.
You don't need to. You don't need my verification of that, I'm sure. That's,
The 14th?
7th?
Or I might miss it.
14th. Oh, okay. Hold on.
The
So
14th
this-
better or
Yeah, the
worse?
14th would be better.
December 14th.
It's the 14th?
Yeah, it would be
14
better.
December.
The 14th would be better.
This will be a special joint meeting with an executive session portion.
Yeah, I would should
At-
think.
Did you say 7?
Do you agree, Mike? Executive session.
Do we want to have executive?
I don't want to talk security and protocols until we've heard them and decide,
So if that's the
It'd be
case,
6.
would we be better off having it on a night that's not our regular night?
yeah, we
Yeah.
would be.
Because this is not.
Do an
a
off
10-minute
night, because there's no,
It's not, it's going to be probably a
There's no
lengthy
FaceTime on this
conversation,
one.
So
So the 15th?
let's
What
do
about
it,
the 15th?
the 15th's fine.
Is that,
So
15th
does
fine.
that work for
Dean,
you
and,
guys? Because that's what's
Patrick.
at a
That works.
Tuesday, in between our two meetings.
The Tuesday night.
That works.
Would you like us to come up here, or what do you want to do?
Whatever's comfortable for you. If you'd like to have us come to your house, that's fine.
There's no
we'll
territory
probably
here,
have
we're
more
all in
than
it
one
together.
meeting,
I
so
don't care
we
where we
could
meet,
start in Rehoboth,
as long as we get it done.
Yeah.
the one
That's right.
after that, because I'm
Because
sure
we'll
have
probably,
one
like, yes, that's correct. We'll probably have more than one meeting, so if we go to Rehoboth, then we'll come back here at the
Okay.
next one.
It's
The
okay with
senior
me.
center,
Just trying to get Dean to buy the donuts, that's all.
6 PM or?
I'll get the popcorn.
7 PM.
Popcorn and donuts, right?
Okay.
What happened to Grog?
Got it,
Okay.
Tish?
If we make this meeting date known to our police and fire departments, and give them an idea of what we expect on that date, they can be ready for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Okay. Skip, you want to bring something up?
Well, I'm going to ask Dean a question. We've talked about this for quite a while this evening. I don't know how, you get a full agenda I see here. At some other point, would you like to do break the ice on that regionalization thing that you and I have been going to? Or do you want to let that just wait until the committee comes in and does a full report to the presentation to the separate boards? I think they're going to do a Dayton presentation, then a Rehoboth presentation, to get feedback, because, you and I know most about it, I guess, but
I'd
I don't know
like to
if
see
you wanna-
what direction they're going,
you want to break
with
the
all
ice on it, or
different-
you want to wait until they come in?
Let's wait, because
Okay.
I don't think they've really convinced which way they want to go, toward which groups or what have you yet.
Yeah, we
They
left
don't
the
seem
few
to be in a
things up.
hurry either.
Which committee is this? The agreement or
This-
the
this-
split?
Well,
The agreement.
right now, it's the agreement. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the split in a minute. So we're going to hold on the agreement part. They're going to be coming into the separate boards, making a separate, they're going to do towns separately before they bring things together. Best place to start, I guess, is with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance, and it'll be joint Finance Board of Selectmen, correct? I think that's what we decided last night. The Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen will get of each town, will get a
Grouped together,
group,
right.
yeah, grouped presentation. The study of the regionalization question, we need to look at both sides of the coin. I think we had agreed on that, but I'm not sure that all of our members understand that we need to look at the total picture of a regionalization that, because you have a need for some school expansion, we have some needs, we may have some needs on a new school building. And the only way you can build something like that is through a regionalization. I don't think either town could afford to do the type of investment that's required if you had no state, and the only state help we're going to get is through a region. So we need to take a look and see if we're gonna be building a elementary or a middle school or something with each other in a campus-type situation or not. Having said that, we have to, that's what makes it very, very, very important that we get this regional agreement correct. Because we have some questions, and I'm not going to get into that now, you'll get it later. And we need to look at the costs and benefits of the total regionalization through common structure and whatever, and also, what are the costs and any benefits that may be accrued from splitting the K and 8 back to where they used to be? Because there are people that believe that that might be a proper way to go back to the old, what was it, a school union type of thing, Union 37, I believe it was. No, I don't have those answers, but when people have a right to know the complete picture, so we need to look at both sides of the coin. What's the costs and benefits of splitting it out? What's the costs and benefits of making it even stronger? And I want to be sure that the people on our committee get that message. Now, I know that there was just came to light, our consultant, Mac, gave us the other night I haven't looked at it yet, I don't know if you have, Dean.
Dennis Youngman?
Yeah, the Dennis Yatmouth went through the whole thing. They spent a lot of time and money to look at the same question. So we've got a good current resource to look at. So, I mean, the dollar figures may be different, but the philosophy, if you would, is going to be the same. So we want to be sure that your people understand, as our people have to understand to sit on that they need to look at the total picture. So that when we get to a decision, we have the information on both sides. An informed public is what we need. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
One
we're going to...
situation precludes automatically the other one. If
Indeed,
they decide
it
to
does.
split out, forget building a...
No, it does, but there's...
That's gonna happen.
Well,
So-
obviously, but when you get to, those decisions be made by a town meeting,
Exactly.
and assuming we can get through this regionalization rewrite of the agreement, which is not going to be easy. There are some major concerns that both Dayton and Rehoboth have. But we need to, it can't remain oil and water. We're going to have to shake it up so that we've got to find an agreement here. We have to. We'll talk about that later.
Well, even the other thing, the regional agreement with the K to, I'll call it the K to 12, K to 8 split committee, depending on what they do, that's going to affect the regional agreement too, because automatically you drop K to 8 grades, because there will be no classes in that regional agreement.
There's a mechanism within the agreement for separating it back
Going
out.
back to the way it was, as far as
Yes,
grade
there is a mechanism in there,
Okay.
so it wouldn't be uncharted territory.
Yeah,
There's a mechanism in there.
It's in there.
And it has to do with capitalization and, you know, putting the right costs in the right spot and who bears what burden of what. And it's in there. We'll talk about it when we have our major presentation, which I think that Dean, and you have to come to Rehoboth and I have to come to you guys, so I think that's the way it's going to work, isn't it? Because we're both sit on that committee, so, and they want some individuals from each town to go to the, you know, cross the line. That's all I have to say on that one, unless you want to add to it, Dean.
No, you've hit the nail on the head. It's, the agreement, it is prolonged, it's lingering, but there are a couple hang-ups.
Yeah,
And
big ones. There's a big elephant sitting in the
it
room.
disappointed me the other night when the talk changed to a time frame, and they said they didn't think it would make the vote on town floor at the annual town meetings. We've already been on this 10 months.
I don't see it.
Something's got to break.
I'm not sure, unless there's some major changes, I can't see it going on to a town meeting in the very near future. Because we, so far, had a bit of a stalemate on the formula on the funding
Method of
formula. Excuse me?
Method
Nancy?
of assessment?
Method of assessment, we spoke at great length last night about alternate assessments, and we've come to no agreement. We agreed to get more information from the finance committees and boards of selectmen of both towns as to what they're going to be looking for to support the agreement. So, we need some fresh air, right?
Stay tuned.
Yes. I'm done.
You're done?
I'm done, Dean.
Well, I have to commend colleagues from Rehoboth. They brought up a couple great topics, and they led the orchestra tonight. And I want to thank you all, unless you have any questions or concerns. If not, we'll be back at it December, and that'll be very interesting, very interesting.
Your town is participating in the study concerning a regional animal shelter, is that correct? Your
Yeah,
ACO
We're looking into that.
Yeah.
with Dayton,
Yeah,
but our ACO is involved in those,
Yep.
in that study too.
Yeah, Skip actually heads our ACO.
we're having our shelter evaluated by a professional evaluator from Tufts. They will come out and do an evaluation for free. You just pay their time, their expenses. So we'll let you know what we get out of that, and in case it's something you might want to do. Do you have a shelter, or
Yes, yeah,
it's not?
it's in the process of being improved. It has undergone one substantial improvement. An Eagle Scout took on constructing some things inside, and now we're in the process of constructing a sheltered outside place where the dogs can walk without having to have somebody take them out of the shelter, can walk on their own in an enclosure and so forth, right adjacent to the building and whatnot. So some improvements are being made. I don't, saying that I don't think it will ever achieve the ideal that's listed for a regional shelter, a place for surgery and all of that. I don't think we're gonna get to that point.
We
But-
have no intentions of that either.
But if Tufts is making a free survey, if you will, of a shelter, and can give you an idea of things that need to be improved,
We'll
Great.
share whether we think it's beneficial or not, and, we're gonna go through it, and, I'll be happy to share the good and the bad of it, and we can talk about it. Who handles that? Which one of you selectmen handle that? Do you divide things up like we do? Patrick, you do? Oh, this will be enjoyable, Patrick.
it's Board of Health. I'm chairman of the Board of Health, so it's mine.
It's yours. All right, well, you and I will chat, because we all have our own responsible areas in our board, that things that we all look at, and I'm the dog guy, so
Sure,
you and I will talk, Patrick, okay?
We'll go to the dogs together.
Speaking of the Board of Health, tell us about your structure. I know it's an appointed board,
Yes.
and
But
what are they, how is it, this is it, Board of Health, Board of Selectmen, and so we have a committee studying separation, and whether it should be elected or appointed and all that. And as Skip just said, he has an assigned duty. So I know that, I know Bob, I know Bob Ashton. So what does your Board of Health actually do as far as,
They meet, and look at septic systems, approvals, variances for septic systems.
right, but Bob does the inspections,
Bob
correct?
does the inspections, he presents everything to the board. Right?
Okay.
If someone has a plan,
Right,
they want to put in a septic and they're not at the right, first of all, they put the plan in for the septic, and they meet all the requirements, it still has to go to the board.
right. We sign off on those.
So Bob presents all them at their meeting and tells them, okay, this one's a septic system, it don't need any variances, this is how many gallons per minute, blah, 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 blah. They go through that, but when it comes to a variance, then they have to discuss the variance, whether it's a variance. And then the board also does restaurants, things
Health
like that.
inspections,
Health
yeah.
And
inspections.
they oversee the landfill.
Landfill, that's correct. The
Landfill.
landfill, the Board of Health is in
Your
charge of the landfill. The
Animal
recycling.
inspector?
No,
No,
our ACO, our ACO does the
Is your
animal.
animal inspector?
Yeah.
Okay, ours does the same job. What about, when I was on the board the last time, I'm recycled like you.
Cycle.
I remember Bob Ashton being at some of the meetings we had regarding the potential swine flu, the pandemic that was coming. So, how many members are on your Board of Health? 5, and they're appointed.
Yes.
Do
They
you
have a chair.
require
They have
medical
a chair.
credentials from any of them?
We do have a nurse.
Although we're very fortunate in that when we get candidates, we have people that are involved in public health, we have people with college degrees in biology, we have
Construction background.
nursing, and you're quite right, Mike, some with construction background, so that as to soil structure, that type of construction background. Also, so we're very fortunate in that we don't take someone who has absolutely just an interest but no pertinent knowledge, because we've been fortunate, we've had a good pool to pick from. That's all I can say. Some very qualified individuals.
Our town nurse falls under Board of
Yes.
Health, correct?
I'm sorry?
Our town
Yeah, she's
nurse.
under
Yes.
Bob Ashton, yes. But we've also, like you said, we've had a nurse appointed to a separate nurse, not our town nurse, but a nurse appointed. And like Skip said, we had people on there with soil backgrounds, we've had engineers on there that have engineering backgrounds. So, and it's to take somebody off the street with no knowledge at all to look at a plan. They don't know where the water table is, they don't know what soils, depth the soils are, and what things have to be done. So, it's very comforting to know that we have a board that is able to do this.
Bob's full-time, right?
Yes,
And he has support staff, or at least?
he has one clerk.
All right, so the day-to-day operation of the Board of Health falls under Bob Ashton?
Yes. All the permits are taken out of his office. His clerk handles the permits.
The inspectors, restaurants and school inspections
He
and all that
does all
stuff?
that. He does that.
They report to him if he
Yeah.
doesn't do it himself, if there's someone else that?
No, he does all
Oh, he
that.
does all those? Oh, okay, that's part of his job, okay.
Usually what Bob does, he'll have early morning off hours, and then he'll take off and does all his inspections. Then he also has perk tests that he has to witness, so sometimes it can be.
Although from time to time, members of the Board of Health that are so qualified will witness
Right.
the perk. The chairman has witnessed him, he's qualified and certified, so there's an assistance there if Bob is ill or has something that is more in his wheelhouse that we can't cover with someone that,
But he brings it all together and reports to the board, is that
Yes.
right?
yes.
And he helps them develop their budget.
Yes. They actually.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's unique
Yes.
too, Skip, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Jerry,
He's the
correct me if
director.
I'm wrong. The Board of Health actually will submit any increase in Bob's salary.
The health agent is an employee of the Board of Health, not an appointment of or an employee of the Board of Selectmen, and I believe that's a state law.
Right.
So, I don't know, you have a health agent.
Yes, the Board of Health,
And you're the Board of Health, the three of you.
yeah, but we meet separately. I mean, everything's done, it's a separate budget and all that.
Yes.
It's all separate. But what we have been exploring for some time, and we now have a study committee exploring it, is, as Mrs. Goulart said, separation of the two boards, and also the personnel, especially the position of a director, whether or not we should have a director of public health who, like your health agent, oversees the various functions, the food inspections, the animal control, the town nurse, the Title V's, the food inspections and so forth, oversees everything and reports to the board, brings it all together and gives the board what they need to act on and the support necessary, and writes a consolidated budget for the whole thing, the landfill, the transfer station, whatnot. Writes one budget for the whole thing. Right now, the budget for the Board of Health is, it appears in several different parts of the town budget. It's all under human services, but it appears in several different parts of the town budget. And really, there's a certain hit and miss because we don't have the focused expertise of somebody who has a daily handle on how much it costs to do these functions. You know what I mean? That's what we need. But we have a committee studying that, and the experience of a town like Rehoboth with a separate board and a health agent who reports to that board and so forth, that's the kind of efficiency and dispatch that we're looking for.
It'll make a big
Plus, it
difference
makes your
to
life
you.
easier.
Yeah.
Our Board of Health is also responsible, has overall responsibility for stormwater. We have assistance with the highway superintendent, and he has somebody that assists to put the reports together. But the onus of stormwater management, MS4, is the Board of Health.
You don't have a
We have
stormwater agent?
Stormwater officer.
Does it come under one?
You're supposed to.
Elected,
You're supposed to.
Really?
yes. We have an elected stormwater officer who was elected to that post, and they do the MS4 and all the reports.
Okay, all right.
And they work in conjunction with the Conservation Commission and the
Highways?
highway and the planning board.
You don't have any public water in town. I know you have a reservoir, but it's not
No,
yours.
we,
And you
No.
don't have any public sewage.
no.
Correct.
No.
Okay, all right, because at the state level, everything now is water.
Yes.
Yes.
Whether it's drinkable, wastewater, rainwater, whatever.
Correct.
So, the
I
mandates
was the
that are
first,
coming down are tough on
I
that.
was the first stormwater officer in town when this new regulation came down from DEP
Mhm.
and the MS4 and all that. We had to do all that. And
Yeah,
then
well, we got fined together.
we got a 15. Yep,
We have that in common, too.
yep. So,
Mike, you're saying that's an elected official?
yeah, we made it elected because, as you know, our history back a few years before, just before I got elected, over there, we had some problems, so we went to the town meeting and had that, made it an elected position, because it was appointed at the beginning, but sometimes some people use their power, overuse their power, and so we made it elected, and so now it's an elected position, and our other selectman, Dave Perry, had ran for it and got it, and he's our stormwater officer. So,
So who replaced you on the advisory committee?
Mrs. McBride.
Oh, okay. And is Mike Dignan still, does he still go?
I believe so. I think we have to probably, do we need to reappoint this year?
Yeah, they asked that question, did they not, Dean, the other night, if we had appointed us, both boards of selectmen had reappointed or appointed advisory people. So I don't know if we have it or haven't, have we, Mike?
no, we haven't,
And
and I
we
see
need-
it
we
on their
need to-
agenda tonight.
We need to do that because we were asked at our last meeting to do so. So if you would, put that as an item.
Yep, we'll put that on the,
Replace you.
I enjoyed being on that committee.
We had
I
some
thought
good
we had
times.
some good discussions. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Our finance committee, I think, is meeting tomorrow night, and they will come up with a name and give it to us to make the appointment. But they asked that we hold off, because they're also filling the vacancy, the chair that I held. So they'll have a new member, and then they'll come up with somebody.
right.
What is the football team's record? They've only got one loss, is that correct? The Dayton Rehoboth?
I don't know, what is it, Tish, do you know? You're a graduate?
Thank you.
No? No? Don't ask Dean or I, we only talk about Attleboro,
Right
North
here.
Attleboro, that's all we wanna know about,
Well-
right, Dean?
You Skip went to Attleboro, and I went to North Attleboro,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Now we're polarizing Dean
Patrick and I
again.
went to DR.
Yeah. So, you know, we used to have our
Rivalry.
yep, on Thanksgiving, like you do with Seacon.
Yep.
And I think we beat Attleboro more than,
Yeah, you have, big deal.
I just wanted him to say that. I wanted to hear him
That's
say
after
that.
we left.
That's right, Dean, that's after, it. Yeah. That's not our fault, our class was gone, you didn't beat us when we were there.
Well, while we have the boards of selectmen from both towns here, we have to say, go Falcons and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yes, indeed, go
Yes.
Falcons and happy Turkey Day.
Yes.
In the old
Thank you
days,
for
the
having us.
competition
Thank you
was
for coming.
Somerset
We always
for years.
come away better than when
And
we
then-
walked in.
With
We
the
do.
split of
We've
Union
accomplished a lot
37
tonight.
and Rehoboth coming in and Freetown dropping out, the rival team became Aponequid, Freetown Lakeville. And I think DR beat them so many times that they said, we need to reorganize the league or something, and
Yeah.
that's how Seekonk became the rival.
And I think they beat Seacock so many times. that
They were
that might happen
reorganized,
again.
right?
That might happen again. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for
thank you
coming.
I'm so happy that we do this on a quarterly basis, and it helps us out on both sides.
With that, we say good evening.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
As usual, Patrick, you and I will talk about the ACO thing.
Thank you very
I want
much.
to talk to you about chapter 140. You guys are doing all that. That's the rewritten laws.
We,
Excuse me.
sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. Have a good one. Happy Thanksgiving.
Dean, as usual, my friend.
Now, if you really want to see something great before you go home, get up to the light here, turn right, and go over the Berkeley Dyke Bridge. It'll be lit, it'll be lit. So, good to see you. You want to see that bridge at night. It's gorgeous, it's gorgeous. And when you cross the bridge, there's a little park you can turn around in, or you can turn around at the next intersection. But if you get a chance, zip over the bridge tonight.
I'll give him a ring. I'll give
Time
him-
it
Good
is.
night.
Yes, good
Thank
night.
you.
Yeah, they did.
In fact, Earl Stetson from Berkeley, you know Mr. Burrow.
I do.
John Burrow, he says, we're talking about the old bridge and all that, and he says, and it's got lights, he says.
Yes, yes. It only took 50 years,
Excellent. Thanks very much.
but it took 30 years for the stoplight down
I
here.
remember that you had a bridge keeper that would come out and open it.
Joseph Babbitt,
Right over there.
Joe Babbitt.
Yeah.
Those birds are not going to fly too far from.
His daughter Gladys Babbitt was the superintendent of school secretary for many, many years.
Didn't know that.
She was secretary when I was a student at the grammar school, and she was at the regional high school with Mr. Roy. And she saw a number of superintendents, but she retired when Mr. Roy was superintendent, so that was before 77. But when I went to work there in 67, she's the person I worked with.
Okay.
And Mildred Thatcher was over at Palmer River. Yep.
You ready? Good night.
Thanks,
Good
Jim.
night.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Thanks for coming.
I'm sorry we took so long.
No.
All right, we get into meat and potatoes here, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of the special meeting of September 29th, 2015, to update the new selectmen, be approved.
Second the motion.
That motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? None being, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of the executive session of September 29th, 2015, to update the new selectmen, be approved.
I second the motion.
That motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Just for the record, that this motion involves the executive portion of that meeting. There's no other discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of the executive session meeting of October 8th, 2015, the clerical union wage study be approved.
I second the motion.
That motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? None being, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of the executive session meeting on October 13th, 2015, the conclusion of the clerical union wage study, be approved.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? None being, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
Go ahead.
Okay, approval of the warrants.
Mr. Chairman, I move that warrant 19A-16 in the amount of $85,058.69 dated November 4th, 2015, and warrant number 19B-16 in the amount of $211,116.36 dated November 4th, 2015, be approved, excuse me.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence. First piece of correspondence is from, Xfinity. And guess what it's in regards to? The rates.
Going up.
We do have a piece of correspondence from, addressed to the Board of Selectmen. In regards to installation rates, dear Chairman and members of the Board, in keeping with our ongoing efforts to provide updates regarding our services, I am writing to inform you of some upcoming changes to our installation rates. On January 1, 2016, due to changes in business costs, the following installation rates will change. To activate a pre-existing additional outlet will increase from $22.95 to $24.60. To relocate an additional outlet will go from $30.30 to $32.65. If you need to connect a DVR or a DVD, that rate will go from $7.75 to $8.20. That's for the initial installation of the service. However, if you already have that service, to connect the DVR or DVD will now be, to correct that already existing service, it'll go from $19 to $19.60. The upgrade of any kind of service will increase from $28.45 to $29.45. If you need to upgrade your DVR service, that'll go from $28.45 to $29.45. If you want to downgrade your service, it's going to cost you an additional 15 cents. In-home service visit, that's for Xfinity TV technician, will go from $37.05 to $37.15. And a field collection charge will increase from $25 to $30. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call Michael Galla at 508-732-1536. And again, this will take effect on January 1st, 2016. Next piece of correspondence is a community electricity aggregation pamphlet for public distribution. We've just been supplied with the company that is instrumental in trying to get a community electricity aggregation between these participating communities, which are Acushnet, Attleboro, Carver, Dartmouth, Dedham, Dayton, Douglas, Dracut, Fairhaven, Fall River, Freetown, Marion, Mattapoisett, New Bedford, Northbridge, Norton, Plainville, Rehoboth, Seekonk, Somerset, Swansea, Westford, and Westport. These are pamphlets that'll explain how every resident in the town of Dayton who is serviced by National Grid, only National Grid, not TMLP, will be enrolled in this reduction of a portion of your electricity bill. Automatically enrollment, ratepayers may opt out and remain with their current supplier at any given time. Continue to call your utility with any service issues, which will be National Grid. You can continue to receive a single bill for your utilities. You can keep budget billing, and renewable energy options are available. The bids for this aggregate will be opened on, I believe it's November 10th, coming up. At that time, there'll be more information available to go out to all the residents of all these communities that I just read. It should warrant a decrease in your supplier charge that you will see on your bill. And again, we're gonna display these and provide these little pamphlets around town in the National Grid area only. Some of the stores, Town Hall will have them, the library will have them. So please pick one up. If you have any questions, feel free to call Town Hall. As soon as I will be attending the opening of the bids from all these different energy and electrical suppliers. As soon as we know what the final bid that's gonna be accepted will be, we'll pass on all that information. In the meantime, these will be available all around town. Next piece of correspondence is from the Dayton Rehoboth Regional School District regarding an appointment to the Dayton Rehoboth School Committee Advisory Finance Committee. We have not, well, let me put it this way. There is a need for one more member to be appointed to the Dayton Rehoboth Regional School Committee Advisory Finance Committee. That was due to Mrs. Goulart, who was the member of that Advisory Finance Committee as a delegate from the Finance Committee. In a case, this committee is made up of two members of the Finance Committee. When Mrs. Goulart got elected to the Board of Selectmen, she had to vacate that position. So at this time, we are short that one seat, and we are just waiting for, I believe it's tomorrow night, Nancy? The Finance Committee is meeting, and they will designate a name of one of their members to this board to appoint them to this Advisory Finance Committee. So that's where we stand, and we can't really act on anything until we get the name.
No, but because we won't be meeting again until the 18th of November, owing to the Veterans Day observance next week, it may be prudent if we plan to place, if the Finance Committee gives us a name after tomorrow night, it may be prudent if we plan to place this appointment on an agenda for any other special meeting before the 18th.
We can do that. That we could do.
Because I know they're waiting for this up at the
Yes,
high school.
yes. Announcements? I'll start off with some. The Board of Health has shops disposal containers for sale for Dayton residents only at the office. It's $3 for quart size, $6 for gallon size, and $7.50 for 2-gallon size. Once they are full, they can be brought back to the Board of Health for proper disposal at no additional cost. Recycling stickers are available for $1 each for recycling containers of your choice. There is a prescription drug drop box now located at the Dayton Police Station. Please limit your disposal items to pill form prescriptions only. The following should not be disposed of in the drop box: creams, ointments, liquid, thermometers, syringes, IV bags, bio-waste, aerosols, inhalers, and EpiPens. You may also contact the Dayton Police Station at 508-669-6711 for more information. The Providence Water Fire Salute to Veterans will be held Saturday, November 7th, 2015, at sunset, which is 4:34 p.m., in downtown Providence on the waterfront. This is sponsored by the Bank of America. A flu clinic will be held on November 9th, 2015, which is this coming Monday, from 10 a.m. to noontime in the lower level of Dayton Town Hall. You must be over 18, and insurance cards are required. Call Jen Sylvia at 508-678-0080 with any insurance questions or for more information. This clinic is being held in conjunction with Rite Aid Pharmacy. On November 11th, 2015, at 11 a.m., at Town Hall, there will be an unveiling of a 48-star U.S. flag given by the family of Byron E. Haskins, a World War II Bronze Star recipient. All are invited. For more information, you can contact Donald Hershey at 508-669-5027. Anybody else like to finish?
Yes, I'll do a couple. Thank you.
Thank you.
Due to the Veterans Day holiday, passport applications will not be processed on Wednesday, November 11th, 2015. On Thursday, November 19th, at 10 a.m., there will be a discussion at Lincoln Village, 300 Lincoln Avenue, North Dayton, Mass., on the annual open enrollment for Medicare Part D, which takes place between October 15th and December 7th, 2015. Open enrollment is for those who want to make changes in their Part D coverage or for those who are newly eligible. Call 508-823-0095 to register. This is hosted by the Council on Aging and SHINE, which stands for Serving Health Information Needs of Everyone. The Board of Selectmen will accept applications for filling a vacancy on the Van Geysen Hall Study Committee and filling a vacancy on the Development and Industrial Commission. And we'll be making appointment from the applications received. Would you like to?
Dayton's annual Christmas tree lighting will be on Saturday, November 28th, 2015, beginning at 3:30 p.m. Also, on November 28th, Blues for Schools will be holding a fundraiser to raise money for the Dayton-Rehoboth Regional Auditorium renovation. Johnny A., originally of the Yardbirds, will be performing. All ages welcome. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. Show starts at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $26.50 each. Visit Blues for Schools organization to purchase tickets today. And I have a little flyer here. It says volunteers are needed to do face painting at the annual Dayton Tree Lighting Ceremony that will be held on Saturday, November 28th from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Please share your talent. Please contact Sue, that's Sue Medeiros, at 508-669-5411 for more information. And I just have a couple of other announcements. The library is having a program on November the 7th, that's Saturday, at the Dayton Middle School at 11:30. And the topic is the rise in the popularity of the Beatles following the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The presentation they had by Ted Reinstein a couple of weeks ago was excellent. The attendance was low, but those of us that were there had a very enjoyable evening, and it was, I would say it was like a comedy performance. It was so good. On a personal note, I would just like to say to the individual who left 2 voicemails on my home phone, you didn't identify yourself. I don't really know what you're asking me to help you with. It was not clear to me. You did mention some programs that the town has to assist seniors, but if you would like me to try to help you, please call or get in touch with me by email. Identify yourself so that we can discuss what your concerns are. There's no way I can help you because you're anonymous and your message was not clear to me. So if you see this broadcast, I'm willing to talk to you, and if there's anything I can do to help, I will. Thank you.
Let's move on to old business. We did have one item on the agenda, review, discuss, and act the appointment to the Dayton Rehoboth School Regional Advisory Finance Committee for the regional agreement, which has been addressed, and that will be tabled to a very near future time, which brings us to new business. First on the agenda under new business, review, discuss, and act on a road opening permit for Columbia Gas of Massachusetts to install a new service at 442 Center Street. Again, I'll entertain a motion to grant a road cut at 442 Center Street to Columbia Gas of Massachusetts.
So moved.
I second the motion.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next on the agenda, review, discuss, and act on the resignation of Myrna Santos from the Van Geisen Hall Study Committee. We have an email sent to us through the chairman and the members of the Van Geisen Study Committee. And it reads, "Dear Mr. Mullen and committee members, I have attached my letter of resignation from the study committee and the historical perspective I believe needs to be considered and any findings put forth at the end of your deliberations. I am sorry to have to leave this committee, but I know that the mission is in excellent and thoughtful hands. I wish you well in your endeavors and ask only that you try very hard to not let our history be lost again. Please remember, it can never be recovered. Money from a sale flashes through and is gone forever. Historic buildings lost can never be recovered. Very sincerely, Myrna Santos." You want this read, you think?
Well, was it given to the Van Geisen Hall Committee?
Yes, it was.
And I think they should, I think it should be read.
Again, this addressed to Mr. Robert Mullen, Chairman, and the Van Geisen Hall Study Committee. Dear Mr. Mullen and committee members, With deep regret, I am writing to let you know that I have decided to step away from the Van Geisen Hall Study Committee due to a very heavy schedule of other commitments. With this letter, I express my opinion as town historian, and I hope that the committee will sincerely consider my thoughts. The job entrusted to this committee is one of great importance to the town in many ways, and I know that each of you is interested in the best interest of all our citizens. I too wish to see the town make an advised decision about this hall, and I believe it should not be strictly an economic decision. We must look at it from a historic point of view as well. In your deliberations, please do not minimize the historic value of this building, which could very well be adapted to serve this town's needs for many, maybe hundreds more years. That said, I ask that the committee please remember the terrible loss of many of Dayton's historic buildings, excuse me, with our schools prominent on that list. Van Geisen Hall is the last of Dayton's school buildings that immediately followed the one-room schoolhouses and immediately preceded the consolidated eighth-grade elementary school that finally and forever placed the North and South Dayton children studying together in a single building. Thus, the town took the first great step in breaking the North Dayton/South Dayton rift that negatively divided this town for many, many years. North Dayton people were long considered to be the haves of town, South Dayton people the have-nots. Many of our school buildings have been forever lost or changed. Out of Dayton's at least 9 one-room schoolhouses, most are privately owned and have been remade into homes. Only 2 schoolhouses remain as such, and one of those is also privately owned. The town still owns the Segregated School. The South Elementary School has been bulldozed. The North Dayton Primary School, a later building than Van Geisen, has been bulldozed. Not a historic building except for its place on the school history timeline. The original consolidated elementary school is now a four-grade elementary school, which is no longer just a Dayton school, but is part of the two-town regional school system, and as such is supplemented by a newer Dayton Middle School and the Dayton Rehoboth Regional High School. The original Dayton High School that served 4 towns, and then later 3 towns when Freetown regionalized with Lakeville, and was the seat of all of Dayton's town government, and that became the Dayton Middle School when the town regionalized with Rehoboth and built the regional high school. That burned to the ground in 1991. Dayton High School's location now honors our veterans, many of whom attended that high school and at least one of the other Dayton schools that are now gone forever. It is noteworthy that all of the historic schools lost were, of course, town-owned buildings. The only 4 historic buildings still owned by the town of Dayton are the Tribal Council Building, which was the original town hall, the Segregated School, the Public Library donated and built by Andrew Carnegie with no investment there, and the North Elementary School building, also known as Van Geisen Hall. We have lost so very much of our history that we all took for granted. Many of Dayton's historic buildings that are now gone have been lost because we did not protect them and they were privately owned. Those remaining are all in private ownership except for 4. Now Dayton has a demolition control bylaw, but it is still in its infancy and is largely untested. And since its passage, we have continued to see our history destroyed. Please consider the fact that dollars can come into the treasury from a sale of this building or the land it sits on, but its history and the many, many lives it impacted, both as a school and as a place for our heroes, our veterans, many of whom actually attended the North Elementary School, can never ever be replaced. Funds derived from a sale will flow through the coffers and be forgotten, and another little bit of Dayton will die and be gone forever. dead at our hands when we could be preserving it for our children to use, learn from, protect, and enjoy. I ask on behalf of our forebears and our descendants that the committee please consider Dayton's rich heritage in making your recommendation regarding the disposition of Van Guysen Hall. I do not believe that we need to decide at this time how the hall will be used. We can make good suggestions and recommendations, of course. But no matter how it will be used, Van Guysen Hall definitely can and will, if we so recommend, be used by the town. There are many, many options for its future use. Once the Old North Elementary School, also known as Van Guysen Hall, has been sold or bulldozed, another piece of Dayton history will be gone forever. The town now owns this historic school free and clear, and we can preserve that history. Please decide to preserve our dwindling heritage and recommend to keep Van Guysen Hall. I wish the committee well in its deliberations. Very sincerely and respectfully, Myrna D. Santos, Town Historian.
I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Myrna Santos with thanks, appreciation, and with regret.
I respectfully will refrain from participation in the matter since she is my sister.
In that case, I'll step down in second. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Reports. Patrick, if you wouldn't mind.
We have listed on the agenda, there is a possible candidate for weekend animal control officer. There will be an interview held tomorrow afternoon for the position. As anyone who saw the Board of Health meeting last week on cable may know, our weekend animal control officer, Delphin Diosamido, tendered his resignation to the Board of Health last week, and it was accepted. The appointment of animal control personnel rests with the Board of Selectmen, even though they serve under the Board of Health. And therefore, tomorrow afternoon, which is the time that was most convenient for the candidate who we were able to field for this position, we will be interviewing a young lady who was recommended to us by the Animal Sciences Department of the Agricultural School. She is a recent graduate of the Agricultural School. She served as a veterinary assistant and in animal control in Columbus, Georgia. She is a veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division of the United States Army and possesses, according to her resume, a wealth of experience in this particular field of endeavor. On behalf of the Board of Health, I conducted an initial interview with her to ensure that before we waste our time on a full-blown interview with the entire board, she was prepared to accept the $147 a week and change that is paid to weekend animal control personnel to be on call for 48 hours and to respond to any animal incidents that come up during the weekends and holidays and any time that our weekday animal control officer is not available. We were very fortunate to have someone come forward quickly, and with the beginning of hunting season, the bow season for deer, of course, hunters in the woods, needless to say, animals are on the move, wildlife is on the move, and we will be hearing from people with livestock and so forth. That all comes with the season. And the weekends especially will be busy, and therefore it was important that we have no gap, that we have a weekend animal control officer in place swiftly. I want to thank Mr. Polanski, the principal of the agricultural school, for passing along the job description and making it possible for us to have someone to interview. And that interview will take place tomorrow in this room at 2:30 in the afternoon.